It's one of the most iconic motor races in the world. 24 hours of Le Mans marking a centenary this year. 7 auto manufacturers will be fighting for overall victory with 16 teams represented. The unique race continues to test reliability, endurance and encourages innovation, while the 13.6-kilometer track attracts hundreds of thousands of fans from around the world. Hello and welcome to France in Focus. I'm Delano D'Souza. In this edition, we're shining the spotlight on one of the most prestigious races in the world. 24 hours of Le Mans has been referred to as the Super Bowl of motorsports. The Endurance Classic is both a physical and mental challenge. Each team has 3 drivers who alternate over the course of a day, and the car that covers the greatest distance in the span of 24 hours wins.
Well, they just want to see what's happening in there, so.
Sebastian Bourdais feels at home in Le Mans for a good reason. He grew up here, and this is where he discovered his love for racing. At the age of 20, Bourdais competed on the racetrack in Le Mans for the first time.
C'est là où réellement je me suis dit.
At that point, I said to myself, there's really something here. I absolutely have to race at Le Mans. So in 1999, my father sold me his race car, a Porsche. I was competing for the French Formula 3 Championship, and it was my first experience. And ever since then, to race Le Mans and to win it is a personal goal for my career.
C'est un objectif de carrière et un objectif personnel.
In the decades that followed, Bourdais traveled the world to compete, relocating to the US, and became a hugely successful IndyCar racer.
The 88th edition.
But despite all of his international success, he's never won at home.
So here we are, in my office.
Bourdais' office is this Cadillac V-Series, and his team, an American group of engineers and technicians. He says unlike other races, getting ready for a 24-hour course requires a certain level of preparation.
Everyone has their own way of doing it. Some like to run, others cycle. Some like to swim. Personally, I prefer to cycle. In terms of endurance, we spend about 4 hours behind the wheel at a time. So when it's hot, your heart rate and your body temperature go up. So in general, it's these extra physical factors that make it difficult.
Behind the wheel, 4 hours at a time, even his helmet provides certain comforts.
Here's where the cool air comes in, and the beverage connects in the middle and is cooled by the air as well.
Bourdais knows what can go wrong at Le Mans and says there's little to no room for error.
You have to perform at 99.9%. There's always the chance of a loose tire, or there could be gravel on the track, or an oil slick, or some liquid. So you always have to be at your maximum level to deal with these things, to react to something unexpected, and to lose the smallest amount of time possible. And at the same time, not to make a mistake, because one mistake could cost you. In general, there's always a car going as fast as you and that isn't making mistakes. So you have to be that car.
Bourdais says Le Mans is not a race of endurance, but a 24-hour sprint that demands nothing short of perfection.
Checkered flag on car 8.
24 Hours of Le Mans is known for its diversity, star power and innovation. The Automobile Club de l'Ouest started the race in 1923, at a time when there were very few cars on offer. Pierre Fillon, thank you very much for joining us here on the program today. Talk us through how this race began.
In 1922, at the very dawn of motoring, the director of the Western Automobile Club and a motorsports journalist called Charles Faroux had this great, crazy idea to do a 24-hour race, which was like a laboratory, a testing ground for development. The idea was for all car builders to demonstrate the reliability and the performance of their vehicles. So the 24 hours has always prepared the cars of the future.
One of the criticisms about this race has been the enormous carbon footprint. So what does a race that prides itself on innovation and technology do to address this problem?
Since 2007, we have been very concerned about the carbon footprint problem. And at Le Mans, we were the first to have a hybrid in the race. Many of our cars today are hybrid vehicles. This has allowed us to reduce by 50% our fuel consumption and, in turn, our carbon dioxide emissions. Since last year, we have been the first motor race to use 100% renewable fuel, which contains not a single drop of oil. This fuel is made from vineyard residues, French vineyards too. So that has allowed us to further cut our CO2 emissions by 70%. And we're working on that for the future, because from 2026 we will have hydrogen technology for the Le Mans 24-hour race.
I was going to ask you about that because a challenge has been set for next year to have a hydrogen-powered car. Where are we on this?
We already have a racing car. It's not competing in the Le Mans 24-hour race, but it is in support races. It's basically a laboratory, allowing us to develop the technology for the fuel tank and for refueling in pit stops, for example. This is all done with what we call the 24-hour mission. And at the same time, we are working with 8 car builders to set up rules which will help them have hydrogen cars ready by 2026. By then, we'll have zero carbon emissions.
There have been 63 female drivers over the past 100 years at Le Mans. The race is one of the most diverse races in the world. You've had the most number of female drivers, but 63 still doesn't seem like a whole lot. What do you do to encourage more women and more female engineers to come here to Le Mans?
There are a lot of women working in motorsport. In the teams, we have them as engineers, as communications and logistics personnel. The industry has already got a lot more female. But yes, at the top of the pyramid, among the people you see, the drivers, there aren't yet enough women. Le Mans has always been ahead of the field, though. 10 women drivers did race in Le Mans in 1934.
Exactly, very early on you've had female drivers.
And motorsport, even more so at the endurance end of it, is a sport where men and women have exactly the same odds of winning. So nowadays we try to promote women in motorsports. For a few years now we've had all-female teams. For example, the Iron Dames team. And they're the ones who can make young girls want to become racing drivers.
Over 200,000 fans flock to Le Mans to watch the race. For those who remain at home, Bruno van der Stik's commentary may sound familiar. He's known as the voice of 24 hours of Le Mans.
La Toyota numéro 7 dans son 173e tour à 2 minutes 13 d'avance sur la Toyota numéro 8. Et c'est très important de le signaler.
Bruno van der Stik, thank you very much for speaking to us on the show.
Welcome to you, Delano.
You are official commentator of 24 hours of Le Mans. What does that mean exactly?
Well, the idea is to give to the fan the key of the comprehension of the race. And imagine for a lap time of 3 minutes 30 or 45, you can see a car no more than 15 seconds. So even if you don't see the car, you've got to understand what's happening, who is leading the race. What happened, where, and for which car, if you've got, for example, an engine failure. And if you don't see the car, thanks to the commentary, you've got to understand what happened.
Ça va vite, ça va fort, c'est Le Mans dans toute sa magie.
How much do you need to know in terms of engineering and what's happened to a car?
Of course.
Specifically.
Yes, it's I should say, a war machine, you know, Le Mans. And I've got screens with me, of course, with cameras to see everything everywhere. And I've got the possibility to listen to, I should say, the messages in between the marshal post and, of course, the race direction. So it's how I can know that something is happening, a car going slowly. We can say it. That's how we can give systematically and immediately good information, good news to the fans.
I wanted to talk about motor racing itself because it's very there's a lot of adrenaline, there's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but it also has a dark side to it because it's very dangerous. Have you seen anything during your 30-year career that's impacted you?
Yes, I remember, of course, a very big crash of Alan McNish with an Audi. I think it was in 2011, in direction of the S of the Tertre Rouge, a very big crash, and the car was totally, I should say, destroyed. But the driver was safe. It's something very emotional at the moment. You've got to be, I should say, soft in terms of commentary when you see such a big crash. And of course, it was a dramatic situation. But of course, you need to be here to give good news to the fans when there is a crash, such as Alan McNish. And of course, people can say, well, I came here and I could leave it thanks to the commentary.
There's been a lot of star power at Le Mans, actors like Jackie Chan, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about this race that makes actors like Michael Fassbender, Patrick Dempsey want to get behind the wheel?
And Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen as well.
Yes, in
famous
1970. It's the magic of Le Mans, I should say, because so many heroes, so many performances, so many history, and I think that once in their life, as a driver or as I should say a special guest to be the honorary starter of the race, they came here because they know that there is an historical heritage, and in fact they want to live it at least once in their life.
Bruno van der Sik, thank you very much for joining us on the program. And since you're an official commentator, I'd like you say goodbye to our audience.
Delano, you are welcome. So I take the official microphone and I say, well, ladies and gentlemen, check out Flag on this new magazine, France in Focus. Thank you for supporting the Le Mans 24-hour race again. And as we say in France and everywhere in the world, thank you for watching France 24, France 24 as 24 hours of Le Mans. Bye-bye.